Exclusive.
This is another episode of Sip to Script. Thank you for tuning in. I'm your humble host, Young Seaka. And today we have a really, important guest in the house. Young Erica Badu. Young Q. What's up? Could you state your name for the camera real quick?
My name is Quincie, but call me Q. And yeah, I'm 17 years old.
Damn. She had to state the age real quick. But no, for real. Before we go any further in this, you brought a really important juice.
Yes, booster juice. No, like if you know me, I always have booster juice in my hand.
Why? Why?
I like smoothies. Like whenever, like if I'm like, bro, like this is expensive. I go to McDonald's, I get the blueberry pomegranate, but booster juice is a spot. Boozy banana.
Damn.
Dang.
They better cut the check. No, but for real, like I understand that this is your thing and stuff like that, but why does this drink relate so much to who you are as a person? Like, why, you know what I mean? Why is this drink so important to you?
Cause like I drink smoothies a lot. Like if I'm not out with this, I'll make it at home. I don't know, like I just like the taste of mixed fruits. There's no really importance to it. I just like smoothies. Like that's really it.
Well, I gotta thank you for putting me on because this is actually
it's
bomb.
good because people sleep on it.
This is actually bomb. I can't even believe I'm drinking this right now. There's no soda, no fizz to it, and I'm still drinking it. But anyways, thank you very much for coming through the podcast today.
No problem.
Yeah, and just for some of the people that might not be familiar with who you are as a person, could you name, some of the things that you've done? Just, as you can see, I'm dripping today. Really dripping today.
Yeah, so I make the Unirose hoodies. So basically it started like when I was like 15. So I wanted to get a gift from my brother. And like I knew he liked the two words like dead and like rose. So I got him like a hoodie, and the color I got is like actually the color I started with. So basically like the hoodie said dead rose. And what I did was I got like a rose, and it was like wilting. That was like the actual design that I drew. But it really all started from his first hoodie with just the words dead rose.
Okay. And further on during that interview, we're gonna go deeper into the things that you've done in the city, because that sweater is like, it's iconic in the city and a lot of people could relate to it, you know what I mean? But just in terms of what you've done and your implication in the city, you've done so much more than just this. So before we go any further, like, where are you from in the city?
I'm from the West, so like the Nepean
West
area,
side,
the West Side. Yeah, I go to school in the West. A lot of people think that like I go to school in the South, but I'm actually from the West.
But I feel like every time that I'm, that I associate your name with someone, it's always someone from the South, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, because like a lot of my friends live in the South.
Okay. So, what high school did you go to?
I've been going to St. Paul's.
Okay, St. Paul?
High School, yeah.
All right. And if you could describe the West in a couple of words, like, how would you describe it? Because I feel like a lot of people like that have come on the podcast, or just in general that are like seen in the public eye in Ottawa, like they're whether from the East or from the South, you know what I mean? And like, this is actually my first time with someone that's, I'm not even sure how to interact with you. You know what I mean? Like,
like the West, it's boring. There's not much to it. Maybe because I've been there like my whole life, but like it's so like far from everything else. Because a lot of people don't even know from like the East to the South. There's that one McDonald's by the thrift store, and then there's like a movie theater breakdown. There's another Shoppers, like. There's like, like Ritchie area?
Yeah.
Like that's like more so near Carling. I don't know, like for people like at my school, like when school's finished, like everybody, like people don't want to go home. Like people hang around school because like all their friends in the neighborhood. But like I don't hang out in the West as much,
Okay.
like Bayshore. Not really. It's more Swarrito thing.
That might be why your name is always so associated with people in the South. You know what I mean? Like Safa or even Nick.
Oh, it's Safa. Fuck
So
Safa.
much Nick. But so many people are from that
Safa's
circle.
such a big supporter of Unirose.
Yeah,
like,
he is.
Me and Safa have like the biggest like love-hate relationship. Because whenever me and Safa like are hanging out, we're either fighting or laughing. Like me and Safa, oh my god. And he's an upcoming artist too. He goes to school in Toronto now, but like he was doing his thing with music.
Okay, safe. So it's definitely another person I should look into. Definitely.
For real.
So you grew up in Ottawa and stuff like that. So how would you qualify your upbringing? You know what I mean? Because you seem to be someone that's very creative, and in terms of accolades and everything that you've done, it's always related to how your creativity just like flows out and stuff like that. So if you could describe a bit of how you grew up in the city and like your encounter with the city, like how would you describe it?
Like how I grew up, basically, like, in the city or like in home.
Well, basically your own encounter. Like it could be like at home, it could be with the city. Like definitely give us an insight of how you grew up in the city, basically.
I feel like my circle was always kind of small. Like I was never that kid who like had like a big circle. Like I'm always with like a whole bunch of people. I had like from school I went to the same school all the way up to grade 6, and then I just switched to high school. So I never really went to too many different schools. I've had a friend for like about 12 years now. You know, so I was always around like people who were close to me. From growing up in the cities, probably around the time when like Instagram and all that stuff was on, and people were seeing how people dress on Instagram, all that stuff. So then you started kind of seeing more people on Instagram, and they're actually from the area, and like kind of that's how I interact with people sometimes, and not even people from my area, actually people from like other sides of Ottawa. And you kind of just meet people through that. People see who you are, even though there's always kind of that like wall between you and who you really are on social media. I don't know, man. Like I wasn't always around a big group of people. The first person I probably interacted with that like I'm tight with her till now is like Deja.
Oh,
And, you know, and we're always together, you know.
Jeez,
we do the same thing, we write, like taking pictures wise, you know, the dressing, our whole mindset on Ottawa, you know, that's how we became friends, and, like, that's how we're friends till this day.
And I feel like that's one of the first, you know, differentiation that I've realized, because you're 17, right?
Yeah.
And I'm around, like, I'm in my 20s right now, and when I see people that are from that age group, you know, when I look at my sister and I look at, you know, the younger people, the younger generation in Ottawa, I definitely feel like that relationship that they have with social media is completely different from the one that I've had growing up in high school. You know what I mean? Like, but I definitely feel like that's something that, you know, it was a tool, basically a tool for people, young creatives in the city that people maybe my age necessarily didn't have around that time. So how did it affect your life just in general, like social media and all that stuff?
I never really shared that much myself on social media. Like, you know, it was always a little this and that.
Nah, definitely. I see you flexing on the gram way too hard.
No. Like, my friend always be like, can you post a picture? Like, post a picture. Like, you know, I'd always, like, go on Instagram. But, like, affecting me, I never really started to use Instagram in, like, kind of, like, a platform way until probably, like, around 14, which was when I started writing. So that, like, I would post my stuff on there sometimes.
Right.
But interact with other people who wrote. And then, you know, like, that, like, people saw me posting stuff. They saw that I could write. And then people would be like, oh, do you want to do a show? I have this show coming up, would you like to perform? And a lot of the performances that I have, whether I do with my friend telling me or people like DMing me and asking if I want to be on a show.
Right. So it's a lot of like, so right now, you know, we put in perspective the fact that you have Unirose, you write, but like that writing aspect of things, like how would you describe it? Like, do you rap? Do you sing? Like, what do you do?
Sing? Like right there? No. Rapping? No. It's like sometimes it's spoken word, sometimes it's more so of like a mellow kind of like, you know, kind of poetry thing. Spoken word, I can kind of say, yeah, you more so are rapping, you know, there's a lot more rhythm to it. But like poetry, like feeling wise and like deep, for me, like that's kind of just like whatever I'm feeling at that time, like I'll write about that.
And that's a thing I realized also on like social media, because I personally, you know what I mean, I don't have a direct link to who you are as a person, but from the things that I've seen online, you know, actually there's a funny thing, like when I first heard about your name in the city, I was, my little sister, she comes at me and she was like asking me about a Unirose sweater.
What?
My sister right now is like what, like 15, 16, like young, like she's younger, way younger than me, you know what I mean? And when she came to me and asked me about that, I was like, what is that? Like, yeah, you'll get one. Like, yeah, I looked around everywhere at the mall. I couldn't find it. I'm like, you know, so I kept looking about it and then I just forgot about it. And then
how did she find out about it?
Honestly, you can ask me up to this day. I still do not know. Like, I think it was like about a year ago, like a couple months or a year ago.
Oh my goodness.
And she asked me about that. And then I asked her and then I ended up seeing, I was seeing a girl, basically. And, you know, it didn't turn out as well as I wished that it did. Sorry. But she was someone that was definitely more in tune with social media and stuff like that. And once we got onto social media, she was just showing me like young creatives in the city, and your name I think was the first one that came up. You know what I mean?
Really?
And it's so surprising that today we sit down at the same place and we end up talking about the things that you've done in the city, because I feel like young people, and definitely with social media, we have a different outlet. We have this tool that allows us to connect with other people, and you took that tool to the next level. So with those sweaters, like, how did that come about? Like, I know you said you helped your brother come with some sweaters and stuff like that, the first sweater, the Dead Rose and stuff like that, but how did you set your mind to, what, like, this is what I want to pursue and this is what I want to do? Like, how did that come about?
Like, in terms of pursuing it, when I first started, I was like, okay, I'm just going to do this for a little bit, like, to see how it is. Because I always wanted, like, a hoodie that had, like, something on it. Because I liked embroidery. But whenever I would see that, it'd be, like, so expensive, like $60, $70. And I was like, I'm not going to pay for that, And I'm like, the first time I got it stitched at Lids at Bayshore.
Say a word.
Like, when I put the Dead Rose on it, I got it stitched at Lids. And I was looking around. There's this place right by my school. So I would go after school and I'd, like, hand in the design. And the first place I tried, there were just so many errors with it. I'm like, I'm not going back. So I switched places, and it was by my school. And then, like, you kind of feel like you're really doing something. Like, I'd walk in there with, like, a big box of, like, hoodies. Like, a whole box of hoodies. And then she's like, hi, can I help you? I'm like, yeah, Quincie. And then I'm like, can I speak to, like, whoever I was emailing? Because then he takes the hoodies, he brings them all the way downstairs. And when I first saw, it's, like, this big room, and there's, like, a whole bunch of, like...
How old were you when you started this?
I was 15, like,
15
right before
years old.
2016. Then, like, my birthday was later on. But yeah, I was 15. Like, I was kind of fresh 15. So, like, I drew it, and, like, I can't draw. So when I look at it, I'm like, that was, like, actually luck with that. Because I was just drawing it. I drew it in one day. And then the hardest part, which was actually figuring out a name for it.
Okay, so, and that all came about just literally, but the passion itself to even start a clothing line, that came from, like,
I didn't even think of it as a clothing line. Like, it was more so just like, okay, what am I doing? I'm not doing anything. Who knows? Like, it's kind of like around, like, that poetry block, like writer's block and stuff like that. So I'm like, what am I doing? And then I'm like, people always say, oh, you should be like a fashion designer or like a stylist. And I'm just like I can't do that, It was just like, it was like kind of like figuring out a design, maybe so, but not like a whole stylist. But like when I drew it, I was
You're
like,
saying
okay.
this, but I see with the whole fur thing on. Like,
This
why are you flexing like that? Why are you doing that?
It's a please. It's not even mine, it's my brother's. But yeah, stylist, I don't think so. I already have like a design in my head for like another logo that I want to do with Unirose. And like I see myself as like, yeah, I can figure that out, but like to like match clothes and match this and match that, like, no. That'd be a mess.
So it literally came off, like, people started seeing it and it popped up. Like, how did it really pop up in the city? Because I feel like even on social media, when I go back and look at it, but I'm saying social media, but even in real life, when I walk around, especially downtown, I see a lot of people wearing your...
Really?
I see it a lot. Way more than it should be. And even when I talk to people, like, a lot of people see it online and stuff like that. So how did it even, like, catch the public eye in a way that, you know what I mean? It would, that spurs and, like, start getting onto people's,
I think it was kind of when, like, I posted this one photo. Like, I think it was, like, the first time wearing it. And everybody's like, yeah, I remember that one picture. And I can't find that picture till this day. And, like, so what I did was I ordered a whole bunch. And I gave it, like, to my friends for free. I'm like, yo, just wear it. Post a picture in it. Like, just wear it. And then she did a shoot with it with Day. And then people were, Day Archer. Yeah. He's a crazy photographer.
Him and that Chank's daddy, that whole wave right there. These guys are, anyways.
Wait, what?
No, because recently Chank's just came for an interview. So, and after that interview, I ended up, going to chill at their house, and that house is just like a creative house. Like, you know what I mean? So you're definitely well-rounded.
Like, I don't know them personally. Deja's pretty good friends with Day. So she did a shoot with him. This was a while ago. And And like people were like, oh, where'd you get your hoodie? And then DJ be like, yo, my friend's asking for the hoodie. My friend's asking for the hoodie. And then Sefa came in. Sefa was a big help. Sefa would bring like a box of like hoodies to Toronto because people from there wanted them. So it was really Instagram and like, oh, I see that person wearing it. Where'd you get it? And it was around that time where, you know, like roses and stuff was like
a big
you know,
a trendy thing. Yeah.
So it was a trendy thing, and I'm like, let's see if it sticks. But it was really like my friends wearing, and I gave it to them. I just wear the hoodie, just, you know, and it was that original color that stood out because it was like a yellow. So I think that's what really caught it.
Okay. And yeah, I honestly, after that whole wave started hitting the city, I felt like a lot of people got on that. You know what I mean? I started seeing it on shirts, on the back of jeans. You know what I mean?
Stop! I put out the back of my pants inside.
Okay, you definitely need to put a patent on that somewhere.
I know.
Because I feel like a lot of people are riding that wave. Definitely, I think I was at Bull House and I seen like
no, it's everywhere. I'm not even gonna lie. It's a basic logo. It is a basic logo. It's all over the place. I get like people DMing me like, did they jack your stuff? And it's like a rose on like a hat or a t-shirt, and I'm just like, well, like that's your logo, but your concept that I have behind mine isn't behind theirs, you know. So that's why I stick with it.
And what would you describe the concept as behind the?
It's like in the name itself, like universal love. It's kind of to be like I have love for everybody. My love is for everybody. Not in like the way where anybody can like get it, but more so like things like maybe a certain way in the world. Not everybody maybe will be able to express everything that they want to do, but it's a logo to remind you that like whatever you're trying to do, whatever you're struggling with, like whatever you're stuck in, like here's some like universal love for you from me. So it's about like just doing your best to give love. You know, sometimes like you can't, you know, you shut off, things get difficult, but it's stuff that like try, you know. And I'm not just doing it for Ottawa or like for people in my area. It's a universal thing.
Exactly. And to be honest with you, I feel like any type of artistry, you know what I mean, it needs to set its niche somewhere. Like,
yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? So to me, just the way you took over Ottawa with such a simple movement, you know what I mean? A rose, you know what I mean? It could mean different thing, but such a simple movement. I feel like the message behind it was definitely what was able to like transpire through. You know what I mean? So honestly, I want to big you up on that because that's.
Thank you.
I have to get my own. You did, but on the when you were explaining the message behind the Universal Rose sweater and the logo of it, you know what I mean? Like, it definitely felt poetic, you know. And I remember when you first explained like your different loves for arts and stuff like that. Spoken word was definitely something that came through while we were talking about it. So, since it's your first love, like, do you want to kind of explain how you came about to get in that world of
writing?
Of writing.
It was kind of in that, like, you know, like I was like 13 going on 14. So it was like that. I was definitely like a different person. Not in like a bad way, but I can like I see growth.
You matured.
Yeah,
you matured. Growth.
I see growth from now, and there's a lot of things that I thought I knew when I was that age that I didn't know. And there's a lot of decisions that I made when I was that age that I'm happy that I did. So I was kind of in that whole phase, like figuring out myself, and you know, I was really interested in like the way like the mind goes about, and like how people behave and things like that. And, like, you know, that whole, like, aesthetic kind of look. I kind of started to, like, write like that, if you kind of know what I'm saying. So, like, I was always interested in, like, love and all that stuff. So
I might not know what you're saying, but you're definitely going to show me a piece of that after.
I don't know. It was all of that, and I put it into one, and, like, everybody has feelings, you know, but, of course, everybody, like, puts it out in different ways. So I was like, why not try writing? And I was just writing, like, I don't even know if it was making sense. And then one time, me and my cousin were hanging out, and I figured out that she wrote too. So we just started like reciting our poems to each other and things like that. And then she's like, "Why don't you try rhyming?" And I was like, "Well, I'm like, I can't rhyme. I'm like, I don't rap." She's like, "It's not rapping, you know, like you're just rhyming the words." And then when I started doing that,
it took off.
It was just different.
Even on,
and I was like. It was different, you know, more so it was just, like, melody on, like, words, and it still is, and now it's, like, I'm able to, like, you know, find that language where I can, like, rhyme my words, and I can play with words, and I can turn metaphors into words and then express them, and everybody feels for it differently, so, like, that's basically what it is and, like, why I started writing.
Yeah, no, because another way that I got introduced to you was through, actually... One of my good friends, Nick, And I don't know. He was talking to me about like how, you know what I mean, beautiful your soul was, and how like it transpired so well through your words and your spoken words. You know, and you telling me like he was going through some stuff that don't really need to be like out there. You know what I mean? Personal experience, growth. You know, and all that stuff like we were talking about, and all he had to say about you was great, and I felt like because your message went around a bit, anyways, in the city for your spoken words. You and Khadija, I feel like you guys were like running that world on Twitter and stuff like that. Like, you guys, but it went around in the city, and I caught a glimpse of it. You know what I mean? And I definitely felt like it was important for you to come through and kind of talk about that. So your friend introduced you to spoken words, but like, how did you? Because you had shows and you had different performances where you were able to establish and show that talent of yours. How was that, how did it blow up like that?
My first performance got recorded, and then I posted it on IG, and then it was a whole bunch of comments. Everybody like, keep doing your thing. Oh, like, look at you, Cause my first performance actually was way after I started writing, so I wasn't really performing a lot when I first started. So it was probably the people at the event, the people that kind of understood that world that creatives are all around. The first event was The Elements. It was hosted by Alex. So, it was that kind of show
Alex
where
who?
like...
Alex who, for the people that might not know?
Oh, my God.
I'm putting you on the spot.
Whoa. Alex, I cannot remember like a last name or like even like an IG. But his name is Alex, and he hosted The Elements, and he did an amazing job. And it was it was an art show. It was people who wanted to come out and, see that, So people were kind of already in that mindset. The atmosphere may not have been like perfect or like what I thought it was going to be, but it was definitely like a whole bunch of people like in a collective, and that when you're brought together and you see art and everybody else's talents, that's what kind of makes you listen and you focus and you see who's in your city.
And that's my thing. Like, from 13 going to 14, you know what I mean? You're thinking about doing clothes and you're thinking about doing spoken words. Like, were you like in an artistic? Do you have an artistic background when it comes to your family and stuff like that, or like, how did it all come about? Like, for you to, because a lot of people, like, I'm giving you my perspective on things. Okay. When I first start something that might be a bit more creative, my mom is a bit more, let's say, traditional.
Okay.
She's traditional,
Yeah.
So getting into that world of fashion or just being a creative being might not be as exposed to me and I feel like that's a reality of a lot of like young people of color. You know what I mean? Like they might get into a certain aspect of things, and to them it's not even an option because like their family it's not something that they were allowed to do growing up. But it seemed like every fashion endeavor, everything that's creative, you were giving a chance to do it. It sprung from there, and you were allowed to like build off your creativity. So like, how did that come about? Do you have a family background with fashion and stuff like that?
Like with fashion, no, nothing like that. I was in a creative house right to begin with. My mom, she was always, kind of like, do what you want to do. My dad wanted me to do track. I wanted to do it.
Oh, so you did track too?
I did track for 4 years. I was a hurdler.
Jesus Christ.
It's like, that. And so I had the choice of dance and track. And obviously one side is more creative. So my dad wanted me to do track, and then he's like, what are you gonna gain from doing dance? And I was like, I want to dance. My mom's like, let her choose. So there was a time where I did dance and tracks. I had it at school, and then I stopped dancing. It was like ballet and like all that kind of jazz stuff. I was like, no. And there's like one hip hop class. I was like, no, I can't. So I stopped doing it, and then I was doing track, and I was like, mom's like, you're doing good in track. I was 13 in the 200-meter hurdle race. I was first in the province.
What?
Yeah, I came first in the province for my age group at that time.
Okay.
So they're like, look at what you're doing.
I still like flex, but whatever.
They're like, look at what you're doing. Look at what you're doing. You're so good in track, My mom's like, if you have the passion for it, do it, And I'm like, I continue to do it. Then I went to OFSA for 1 year for school. I did it for school. I was the only one that went. Boring.
Jeez.
The person who won OFSA, I ran that time in practice. So it was just, OFSA was a mess. I stopped doing track 2 years ago. I didn't have the passion for it. I was good at it, but I didn't have the passion for it. I'm not to say that I stuck with dance, but
It was the pursuit, basically.
yeah. I stopped track because, and I was like, I can do poetry, and I was like, I can write, and of course, track had more opportunities, but like for some reason, I just fell more to the words kind of side.
Right.
Kind of a fashion influence. My brother. A lot of people know who my brother is. Yeah, he's a big fashion influence on me. He wore my hoodies from the jump. Him and his friends just supporting from the jump.
Well,
and
you did it for him to even begin
I know,
with. So
he was like, make more hoodies, like put it on it. He was like, make a name. And I gave him the first name. I was like, Universal Rose. And then like he's in the shower and then he calls me. He's like, why don't you shorten it and call it Unirose, you know? So he was, of course, a big creative aspect on that. And, he was always wearing, always messing with it, He let people know that I created it. People would always say, I saw your brother wearing it, and because, of course, he's big in social media. So it's like, I saw your brother wearing it. And a lot of people thought it was his hoodies at school. People asked me,
you have to make that shit.
And they're like, can I get one of your brother's hoodies? And I'm like, oh, the still cold ones, they're not really out anymore. And he's like, no, the one with the rose. And I'm like, that's my hoodie. I'm like, that's my hoodie. And they're like, oh, can I get one? I'm like, yeah. The most annoying thing, though, is like, yo, lower the price, dog. And I'm like...
Nah. People, I feel like if you're a creative, the biggest support you could get, the biggest, like, cosign that people can give you is to actually pay the price. It's to show that, you know what, regardless of what you're doing, it might be a bit pricey, but some people go and buy Gucci pouches for $600.
I'm like, I see hoodies out there for $60, $70. They're like, lower the price. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, $40, that's not easy to spring. $45. That's not easy to just, But like, at the same time, people who are saying like lower the price. You don't want me to lower the price. You want it for free. Because you think that since we're closer friends, you can get it for free. You're not going to get it for free. A lot of times that happens and people think I don't pick up on that. And I pick up on it. Bitch. It's so annoying.
It is. No,
lower the price. You just want it for free. And the thing is, I don't mind giving it for free. That's the thing. But let me offer it first. Right? Because I catch that vibe, but I'm just like, okay, move.
No, and that's the thing. Like, that's one thing that I feel like if you don't budge and eventually people fuck with it, then right there you have a movement. If people think it's worth the price, never budge on that price. If people fuck with it with the price, then eventually it'll catch on. And you'll be able to even raise the price. Don't budge. Don't budge anymore because I fuck with it.
Like, I don't mind. Cause of course, it's not about the money, no. People are like, oh, we're making money from them. I'm like, yeah, like, here and there, if I sell a hoodie, as soon as I'll sell one hoodie and then I won't sell one for a while. Like, you're making money off of it. I'm like, yeah. And then, like, it's not really about the money, but it's not, like, I'm not doing it for free,
Either, yeah. It's an investment. You
exactly.
paid for these in the first place, so it's an investment. Thank you very much, by the way, for
no
the
problem.
hoodie. But, and just to kind of finish off the interview, I just wanted to know, like, you're part of the scene. You're definitely part of the scene. Your name keeps popping up and stuff like that. How do you feel about the scene right now? Because I feel like a lot of people are coming together and trying to establish the scene. They see what Toronto's going through right now, and they see that there's a potential, definitely in Ottawa. There's a lot of, like, talented people. So, like, what do you think of the scene yourself? The things that it's lacking, the things that it should be adding, you know what I mean? Like, how do you, if you had to describe the scene right now, how would you describe it?
There's a lot of people who, like, are not what they put out, you know? Of course, there's a lot more artists. I never look at it as, like, oh, everybody's just rapping. Like, I never look at it like that. Of course, a lot of people doing their thing, and it may be in the same way, but, they have their own kind of flow to it. A lot of the people who are doing good are, like, the low-key ones, the ones that, like, you kind of hear about. You don't really see that much. A lot of the scene in Ottawa, it's, like, people stuck in this whole wall, like, they're so, like, they think they're behind, but it's just, like, everything that's going on in the world and people distracting themselves with all this and that, and just how Ottawa is, it's not that big of, like, there's not that big of, like, a lot of people that, you can relate to. So everybody's just kind of, like, stuck behind all of that, and people are afraid to express themselves. That's why me and my friends, Ruby was the founder of Say Shop. We created an event for people to come out and express themselves, and there were so many people that I didn't know like were doing this and doing that. And a lot of people, I'm like, how come people don't know about you? You know, why is this the first time that I'm hearing about you? So it definitely gave them that platform physically to present themselves.
And that's another thing I kind of probably left on the side. Like, can you explain that movement? Because that's another one that popped a lot in the city, where it brought a lot of creatives together. And just again, to name another thing that you've done for the city that might not be broadcasted as much as it should be, but I feel like it's a platform that gives people like that relief, like to know that, okay, you know what, in the city I have this place to go to I can relate to. So if you wanted to maybe explain it, how that came about, and maybe explain why that event for you is so important.
So Seishat started like for a while. Actually, I think like 3 years. I remember the first time. It actually wasn't named Seishat yet, but she had this event in the summer, and it was at a park.
Who had that event?
Ruby.
Okay, so
I couldn't go to it. I was in Ottawa, so I missed that one. And DJ told me about it. And she's like, "Yeah, my friend's having an event at a park," and there was posters like around on social media and like people putting up pictures. So it was like basically they all came in a park and they they performed their poetry or whatever art they came with, and then it wasn't even just poetry and just like performing what you can. We had like a vigil for people who died, like the Black Lives Matter movement.
I remember going to the meeting actually. Yeah.
So we had that at a different park, and it was just people again coming together. People were voicing their opinions on the situation that happened, and then the first Say Shot, like in an actual place, was in April, 2016. Yeah, April 29th was the day. That was the first time, and Ruby was so nervous because like you don't know who's gonna come. And everybody came, we explained the name. And Seisha is basically like, it's a goddess of wisdom and writing. And like, she, I think she was like the goddess, like taught craft and things like that. And she was a woman figure because she like kind of like, she did better things than like her own like husband or whatever. So that's why it really stood out to Ruby, because that whole woman aspect to it, that women can do this. So then we named it Seisha. And then it's about like coming out and expressing yourself and not being afraid that people are gonna judge you. Like like you're here to have a good time. So we put everybody's like names in a hat that want to perform, and we like picked them out. And everybody would come up, and it was a really cozy like little event. Everybody was together, and people just people came on. They said what they had to say. There was paintings on the wall. So it's just that space that you come to show you create, and when you leave, like, you can see that you can create and you can do something for yourself. So that's what it was.
It's a great place to network, and I feel like those events in Ottawa are really lacking, because the more that those events would be around, the more that people would feel comfortable to come out and be as creative as they feel like they should be. You know what I mean? You had a lot of luck. You know what I mean? Being the creative that you are, growing up and stuff like that, having the great relationship that you are, Sefa and like Ruby and all those people that. If you're looking at this, I'm coming for you, right? But yeah, you were really fortunate to be around those great people that, were able to support you and stuff like that. So, and even have people like Nick talk about you that wouldn't stop talking about you, you know what I mean? And I think it's a great thing to have you on the show right now today. So
thank you.
To finish it off, I need them bars, the melodic bars. I need those.
Okay, I'm going to perform the one that... I messed up on an event. And, like, I thought I messed up so bad. My friend was like, no, like, you did good. Like, relax. Like, I was like, no, I messed up. And then, I don't know. It's because that event, like, I don't know why I was so nervous for it. Like, usually I'm not usually that nervous. But for that one, I was actually nervous for it. Okay, so I'm going to try it one more time. Okay. So this one, it's kind of like... It's an old poem put into the new one that I made at the time. And at first it's about a whole bunch of different things, but then like, you kind of see it at the end.
Right.
Okay. Everything about you was nothing for me. Your control took my mind, mistook it as love from the heart. Between the legs you played a song, stroked my chords like a violin, then came a beautiful melody. Are you listening? Blue doesn't lie, so why did your eyes, mouth dripped with malice? Behind words you lay, tossed and toyed with verbs to say, your tongue never matched your play. Man to man, woman to woman, you saw me as it. as yours, as come here, listen to me, be quiet. You thought it was sweet when you whispered it softly, relax, I'll only be 5 minutes, don't scream. I made it out to be voices in my head, but it was worse when I could see your face, see the false words on your lips, and I could see that you enjoyed the taste. A bastard at heart, whatever kind of love you loved me with, it was a sin, and I saw it as grace. Treated it delicately, tucked it in when it hit past 12 because dawn was soon and I wanted a kiss. Ignored the chance of redemption, kicked it with my feet. Yes, I danced with the devil, I never missed a beat. Dealing all along, you would string me along, push me to the water, watch me drown from your boat, and that smirk you had when you see you come back and float. Dead to me, all those times you wanted to embed in me, your seed can't grow in my soil. Don't touch me, don't kiss me, low down, dirty dog, your hand is spoiled. Made excuses for your actions just to walk back and react to it. I never reacted, did how you wanted me to do. I didn't bitch for you to call me a bitch. Couldn't look like what you thought I may be. Couldn't leave you because the next day I would just be on my knees. A tug of war with you, pulling, grunting, grip, slipping, begging you please. Had to break the attachment on your ends to finally fall back. Had the hilt to my chest, a coward like you had to always look his best. Over my dead body, would you let people know you've been depressed? Turned your back on me because you know I could paint the front of you with my eyes closed. The kind of color you shouldn't mix. A wolf in sheep's clothing, the type of neighbor you let play with your kids. Sick with a twitch, I should have known you had this off tick. Hesitated when I would ask. How does the devil in you face the angel? I would have buried him years ago. I can break you fast, hang you upside down like a bat, strip you down to your shaking in your boots. Get a clue, I'm slowly starting to play the same game as you. Drowning in a pool of your own blood, let me see you survive this flood. But fools don't go near oceans unless there's gold underneath. Like a ship in a wreck, we were a tragedy. Passing in the night, I could see the blue in your eyes, waves formed into a melody. Tragic, but a single mother of three can turn this into a love story. You wanted a happy ending, but those are for the books. I just wanted something I didn't care how it looked, and opposites attract, so why was everything about you nothing for me? That's it.
Jeez! What's popping, young? I told you she was young Erica Badu. Jesus Christ!
I always mess up on that one. I don't know why. That one is. I don't.
Well, you had it. You came correct today, so thank you very much for all the viewers that came in today, that tuned in today. This was another episode of Sip to the Script. I'm your humble host, Young Seaka. See you later.